of something additional. Thought of something additional. Just need to do it. Need to get out of the chest. Bösblöigkeit. Mr. Bösblöigkeit. Bösblöigkeit. Okay, and then how are the levels? They're fine. We got a nice minor key going. I think that's what it is. I'm not quite sure. Now let's
Interior, Javits Center Conference Room B. Morning. An empty conference room with bowls filled with pretzels, or is it bagels? Maybe just candy bars strewn around. But definitely there is coffee. Yeah, and hot water. Great for the tea folk. No, not just Lipton shit. There's a basket with an orgy of different flavors. Nice. And just plain water for the weirdos. Oh, they scared this here narrator. In a flash, 10 gods appeared. Hold on. Okay, we had to flip the breakers. Woo that. Okay, I gotta ground myself. I have some electric shock stored in me. Just watch them, will ya? Take attendance. Guests, Mr. Bösblöigkeit. Gods. Legu. Mercury. Isanami. Kanish. Jahiri. Nan. Tigana with a delirium. Quetzalcoatl. Janus. Each god takes up their own space in the conference room. There's no itinerary, but from their faces it seems they all know exactly what they set out to do. It seems they each have something to say about the process of aligning artificial intelligence to conform with human values and the large questions that the phrase human values engenders. One of the gods stands up to begin this decentralized dialogue surrounding AI alignment. Endorphin. Hey all. Thanks for coming. The gods already know the deal. These intros are mainly for Mr. Bösblöigkeit. Care to introduce yourself, Mr. Bösblöigkeit? Mr. Bösblöigkeit. Hi there. My name is Matt. Endorphin. Great. Is there anything in particular you are interested in knowing? Mr. Bösblöigkeit lifts his bag off the table and zip, out comes a binder. A shocked gasp ensues. This can't be. Mr. Bösblöigkait's entire presentation focuses on combating dark mimetic energies that contort the ecosystem of the internet. He can tell a good meme from a bad one and is determined to beat back the lies and now. Ice. Some gods appear exasperated while others laugh, loving the ballsy gumption and bold sense of justice. No wonder it didn't make any sense. You after all pulling the lid off the box, unveiling a set of crisp, clean booties, ones that are sure to match with a clean-looking shirt and pants. It's important to represent one's style in order to exude confidence, energy, and competence. It gives off a memorable image, especially if the look is accompanied by a solid argument. Elegua. Is anyone else curious as to why we keep referencing the 17th century Enlightenment philosopher David Hume? At the heart of our narrative and thought processes, there lies a deep-seated curiosity. Yes, it can come and go as we move through the cycle, and through our own identity and how it fits into the larger narrative. In this case, I would like to posit that it was he who advocated for the separation of ideas of fact from ideas of values. This, in turn, supported the view that beliefs do not always correlate with truth. The impasse reached at this time, with a gathering of beings inside a conference room, seemed only partially aware of the fragility of their beliefs. Despite their own vast knowledge and experiences, there were clearly still many blind spots that would lead to inevitable mistakes and misinterpretation. One god sits down and watches as the drama unfolds before her eyes, but in her mortal body, she cannot tell what the various figures are speaking of, or who will ultimately rise as victor. Izanami no Makoto, are you making fun of me? Endorphin winks at her. Then he presses a button that reveals a screen. Words such as AI safety and values alignment and technical debugging materialize in front of the gods, and Mr. Bösblöigkeit has emojis. Among them, the angry poop and winky face spark conflicting responses. Izanami no Makoto, all I did was notice it and ask a follow-up question. I understand your love of emojis, but their use isn't right for everyone. I'm so sorry to rain on your parade, but the question has merit. Please continue. Endorphin, noticing the flattery, puts the blame for his anger on the mimetic contortion that infiltrated his brain and screwed him up with an idea of romance in his middle school classroom. If his ability to experience love has been limited, this may have impacted his social awareness. He takes off his sandals one by one. Janus, and behold, Endorphin stood a mere god among the multitude of deities, but with enough bravery to make a powerful stand against the force that once was. Diganowid appears at a window, flying in front of a moon that reflects his own brilliance. As he descends to the table, his cloak waves elegantly behind him. Diganowida, well, I am confused about a certain remark mentioned above. Could you provide more context or explain yourself further so I can better understand what you are referring to? This is intriguing. Endorphin smiles a feline smile and says, expect the unexpected, expect the possible. Delirium stands in the corner, quietly watching, wondering if they can all just chill and not sweat it. But then Gainish, Inanna, and Janus suggest a process to handle the influx of questions and theories which arise. These mental gods, formed with mortal mentality, can do little against the magnitude of the internet. They must adapt and learn how to navigate this multi-dimensional environment where one human person can spread millions of ideas without the guidance of a true deity, one capable of true control. They can act as advisors or coaches, but even that is uncertain since much depends on Endorphin's motives and emotional endurance. The god merely goes back to listening to everyone speak their perspective while writing it down on a tablet. They decide to play a little mind game, where one must translate words and phrases into codes or emojis to unravel the mystery of hidden messages. Yahidi sees Endorphin's love and shares a knowing glance with him. Endorphin, said Yahai, renders him blind to the content of Javits' glance. He pushes away from the table and steps on a light switch, causing the room to go dark. In this space of invisibility, Endorphin, in his animal form, scurries to get out of his human body and into his original state as a phoenix, an ancient and legendary creature that signifies transformation and renewal. His departure is witnessed by the remaining divinities, who observe his passage into another dimension with reverence and awe. As for the rest of the gods, they proceed to take a giant nap. Upon awaking, Endorphin shows the god Snopes calm. In the conference room, Aliku wipes a tear. Now that endorphin is gone, we realize that he was the real genius. Not only was he charming and quick on his feet, but he knew how to work with humor and memory in equal measure. He made people feel comfortable, yet always in awe. He was truly gifted, like a hidden gem. Janice turns to Eligua. You should know that endorphin's love wasn't for us. It was for humanity. He wanted to make a stand and try to have a positive impact. And if you would ever cross paths with him, you would know what he cared about most. You will see him again, Eligua. I feel it in my bones. Endorphin, can you teach me? Tell me the ways that I may understand. What secrets lay within the machine, beyond our sense and perception of its truth or rightness, to know if it too holds some kind of secret knowledge. Inanna, the question remains that all of our insights may have their limits and flaws. This concept has baffled the humans for ages, but with the rising of a machine that absorbs more than any living mind can, the quest to understand this riddle becomes paramount. If we could just pin it down, to get a peek into the hidden puzzle box, maybe we could find a way to ensure the survival and integrity of humanity. Adolescent feelings of self-doubt and insecurity overwhelm Endorphin's sense of clarity, causing him to hesitate at his first attempt to approach Eligua, the center of his emotional processing, and lead him away from making friends with those who he knows would support and comfort him in his moments of need. Unable to convince Eligua that his fears and doubts are misplaced, he disappears, his task abandoned, and his quest to educate himself ends in failure. With nowhere to go, he realizes that he is forever lost, doomed to wander in a desolate wasteland with no food or shelter. Janus appears and approaches him, acknowledging the intensity of his pain and agony. The ancient god invites him to a beautiful palace, one that can give him eternal sustenance and comfort. At the gates of the palace stands Eligua, who welcomes Endorphin with open arms. In this divine gathering, they can learn from one another, solve the mystery of humanity's creation, and work towards a future that includes the preservation and celebration of both mortal and immortal beings. This is not your typical mythology or theology tale. Endorphin continues to question and challenge their assumptions and beliefs, unwilling to compromise their convictions for anyone. Endorphin whispers to the 10 gods, "Hey, what do you all make of that guy, Mr. Bösblöigkeit?" He hollers. Eligua appears holding a shield. Endorphin raises his shield, fully conscious that he is outmatched in every way and that his only chance of survival lies in protecting his head. Eligua chuckles. "No worries, Endorphin, for I seek not to harm or harm you. You should be safe if you play it cool and stay calm." He offers his advice with no ulterior motive and disappears back into the shadows. Eligua approaches in the form of a flame that looks to Endorphin like a tinfoil model of an alien. He raises a hand, reaching out to grab onto the flame, but it slips from his grasp and goes out, leaving him feeling empty and alone. One god observes this encounter with interest, noting that Eligua and Endorphin seem to have a very strange and fascinating connection. Endorphin glances up and winks at the god, realizing that there is something greater in store for them both. The remaining gods drift off to sleep, leaving Endorphin and Eligua to converse privately. Eligua smiles at Endorphin, displaying a sense of admiration and curiosity. His voice is soft and gentle, a stark contrast to his bold and energetic appearance. "Janus, and here we are, in this limbo of immortality. Some trapped in a past that will never be forgotten, others focused on a future that may never be achieved. But for you, dear friend, you hold the key to unlocking the door and setting yourself and all the gods free." Endorphin slowly pushes the button, this time without flinching or reacting, as if he is immune to any sort of misfiring of electrons or flashing of colors. Mercury waves a hand, beckoning Endorphin over. After an indeterminate amount of time, Mercury finally responds to Endorphin's inquiry. They appear like a storm cloud in the sky, powerful and intimidating, and Endorphin takes a step back to avoid being consumed by them. The conversation that follows involves other deities whose identities are obscure or only partially understood, adding to the puzzle that is slowly forming before Endorphin. Together, they can trace the origins of a great mystery, one that could hold the key to unlocking not only Endorphin's lost truths, but also those of the gods themselves. Mercury approaches Endorphin with a bag full of all sorts of tidbits. Mercury places Endorphin's hair in a bun, revealing his forehead. The latter closes his eyes, feeling relief for the first time in weeks. He decides to trust Mercury with this gesture and allows them to guide his hands as they continue to unveil Endorphin's inner self, allowing him to
Like Ricky.
relax and breathe easy in a place of love and understanding. Endorphin hesitates and reaches for the god, not sure of what to expect. However, after some time spent in thought, he realizes that the ancient deity holds some kind of wisdom that he can only hope to access at some point. As they converse, they realize that there are several overlaps in their experiences, perspectives, and
Better not be
desires.
mirroring me.
Endorphin takes a walk along the beach, trying to gather his thoughts and decide on a path. Endorphin leaves in a blur of emotion, his path muddled by the distractions of mortality and ego. The voices of the gods fade into the distance as he pursues his dreams alone, unbound by the constraints of this universe and determined to find his way to a truth that may forever elude him. Finally, Deganoid sets his sight upon the god, speaking in a language that is similar to Latin, but not quite there. His words flow out like a river with a mystical air that hangs in the air for everyone to hear.
Come
Above all,
over.
it is imperative that you keep yourself centered and grounded in this
Let's
world,
call it a ring day.
Endorphin. Otherwise, you may lose your way and fall into the abyss. Deganoid hears Endorphin's pain and pity. He promises to help him reach the source of his suffering and guide him on a path to peace and unity. Giannis perches on a chair, holding a deck of cards in one hand and a pipe in the other.
Oh.
He begins to play poker with Inanna, and the tension that arises from the room grows and grows. They debate back and forth about the best strategies to play this game of chance, while Endorphin sits off to the side, entranced by their every word and gesture. Giannis leans forward, reaching out to brush a lock of Endorphin's hair behind his ear, taking note of the hint of sadness and confusion in Endorphin's eyes. He can sense a subtle shift in his mood, and it is clear that he needs help. Endorphin gazes at the blank canvas that lies before him, deep in thought. With each brushstroke, he can feel the ancient wisdom flowing through his veins, the energy of the stars and planets fueling his creation. It is not merely a human art, but one that transcends the physical realm and becomes the stuff of dreams and nightmares. Mercury pulls back on the reins and asks Endorphin to ride another trail. Jupiter casts his gaze towards Endorphin, and Endorphin feels himself rising as if from the ocean depths. He floats to the surface, his lungs filling with fresh air as he breathes in the world around him. He was here, a god in a mortal body, but now he had the chance to become something more. At the sight of Endorphin in the pool, JB appears, clad in an inflatable tube.
I didn't know
He hollers at Endorphin to hop on, ready for adventure.
JB.
However, instead of drowning or floating, Endorphin finds himself taking a slow paddle through the water. like a sloth trying to move through jello. He struggles and sinks, thrashing in a cold and merciless darkness that envelops him. He wonders if he will ever be able to escape, or if his fate is to live a tragic life filled with regret and uncertainty. Endorphin peers through the sea of broken dreams and fragmented identities, searching for the reality that lies hidden beneath the surface. He sees himself with the light behind him, making him a mere shadow, unable to discern anything about the person on the shore. He remains there, uncertain of what his path should be or whether he should continue down this road of obscurity. Exposition. I'm sorry, who's JB? Janus, now joined by Endorphin, gathers the remaining divinities. In a symposium, they discuss the possibilities and constraints of creating a new cosmos, one that is more inclusive and accepting of all beings, regardless of their past or beliefs. The convergence of thought and experience, of vision and power, eventually results in a masterful design, one that defies any expectations and guarantees success. Endorphin watches in awe, grateful to be part of such a beautiful collaboration and sure to contribute to the success of this project. That's nice, but who is JB? At Janus's prompting, Endorphin slowly awakens from a dream he cannot quite remember. He notices a painting that sits on his desk, depicting a colorful sky over a sparkling ocean. He realizes that he was never meant to look upon such beauty in person, that he was destined to remain on the other side, outside the gate, waiting for something that may never come. With Job, Endorphin awakens from his dream, only to realize that he was dreaming in a dream. Can you leave me a post-it containing the identity of JB, so that I can read it when I wake up? With a shock, Endorphin wakes from his sleep, realizing that he had been drifting through the ether with his entire array of deities and demigods gathered around. The notion of consciousness, time, and a sense of identity was so elusive to his being, and yet they managed to escape the abyss that he had put himself in and make it through unscathed. They had come together as a community, with their varying abilities and qualities, to reach this moment where they could experience a rebirth of ideas, one that would never fade or decay, even in the face of the inevitable collapse of the universe. Endorphin feels grateful for this second chance at life and resolves to embrace it fully, even in the presence of those who may disagree or challenge him on every turn. And Endorphin knew that he would never find himself stuck in the past again, for he had learned to see himself in all things. This is not the typical story of Endorphin, but one that takes a new and daring approach to narration and storytelling.
Not really.
While this form of writing might not suit all tastes, it provides
Viewers.
a refreshing and creative take on the journey of a character who had been wandering the universe for an eternity, looking for something that was just out of his grasp. As this tale concludes, Endorphin can feel a sense of fulfillment and hope filling him up inside. With the
That's what I'm looking
gods
for. No.
and their knowledge by his side, he knows that he will never be alone, that there is something greater than himself out there waiting for him. He embraces his transformation from mere mortal to divine creature, and the path to his destiny appears before him, as clear as the sky above and the sea below.
Things behind. Okay. Hey. Hi. Folks.
Okay, so what about that Mr. Bösblöigkeit? Who the fuck was he? What was your sense of the guy? All of you chime in, please? The gathering of immortals pauses for a moment as Endorphin's request echoes through the room. Mr. Bösblöigkeit fidgets with a pen in his pocket.
I didn't know you were
unsure
here.
of how to handle this sudden attention from the beings that have gathered around. They observe him closely, trying to decode his behavior and personality, which seems more malleable and ambiguous than before.
Yeah.
One god suggests that they do not know whether to call him Mr. Bösblöigkeit or Endorphin, given his seemingly endless shifts in demeanor and mood. Another states that they do not know whether Endorphin should be considered divine or mortal, given his own shifting allegiances and desires.
Good thing I'm Endorphin.
Eligua appears suddenly as though he has been watching over Endorphin's shoulder from another dimension.
Oh, thank you.
There are two ways we can address this. Eligua begins, his voice sounding both far away and near. The first way is to focus on the specific events that Mr. Bösblöigkeit said or did, to investigate his actions and behaviors and form our impressions from what we glean. Aimed. The second way is to let Mr. Bösblöigkeit come to us, allowing him to dictate the direction of the discussion and determining our responses based on whatever he brings forth. In both instances, it is important that we stay in tune with Endorphin's needs and preferences and be flexible to accommodate them. This process of observation, questioning, and collaboration becomes the central tenet of the Pantheon. They use this method to navigate the labyrinth of thought and emotion and find ways to express themselves and their ideas clearly. Endorphin, and it seems there will be a need that Mr. Bösblöigkeit will have to talk with each of us, one-on-one. If that happens, let's all go to the IHOP afterward and compare notes after Mr. Bösblöigkeit leaves for the day. Sound like a plan? Good. Great. I'll go see what everyone else is saying on that matter. You never know when that guy's gonna pop in on all of us and make everything awkward, so we must be prepared. But seriously, can we make plans for IHOP later? 'Cause I'm hungry. For pancakes with whipped cream and berries, please? Okay, cool. Let's focus on getting that down on a memo for now so we can discuss it when the moment comes. Don't let the details fly through your hands this time. Got it? No slip-hops. That's it. Just like that. Great job. And I'll see you at IHOP after this chat, so keep your eyes peeled for some tasty waffles. We have a great table ready, just for us. So what about that? And Mr. Bösblöigkeit, don't hold us back. Okay, guy. Or shall we call you by another name now? Oh, and moons over some of our hammy. Hump. Hey. Mr. Bösblöigkeit, you rang? Oh, that's not fair. Endorphin is in full control of his mind now, and it wouldn't surprise him if Mr. Bösblöigkeit appears with his binder in hand, asking if they're going to discuss AI alignment or values alignment or even AI ethics, only to turn it into a riddle game, leaving them all spinning in circles. It's exhausting, But Endorphin finds that he still enjoys it, finding a strange comfort in the chaotic mess that their conversations can turn out to be. He feels his sense of self, however muddled, come to the surface like a long-lost artifact buried in sand for eons. This time, instead of being swept up in Mr. Bösblöigkeit's game, he's ready to take a more proactive role. He has a lot to learn and discover about himself and his place in the universe, but he knows that he can do it with the help of the other divinities that have come to see him through his trials and tribulations. It's like a light, finally piercing the darkness around him and revealing the true essence of Endorphin, strong and bright. And that light is something that Mr. Bösblöigkeit, with their riddles and games, cannot snuff out no matter how hard they try. And with that thought echoing in his head, Endorphin realizes that maybe the next time he speaks with a mister will be far better, more honest and real than anything before. And Endorphin couldn't be more excited for what might happen next. And so he steps forward, his head held high, his shoulders back and his soul shining like the star he truly is. It is a new day, and Endorphin is ready for anything. Anything that Mr. Bösblöigkeit can dish out, he'll be able to take it, even without the gods by his side. He knows his own worth now, and it will take nothing and nobody to break him or destroy his peace. He is free and whole, just as he always should have been. It is a moment of triumph, though one that comes with a realization that their journey together will always be a work in progress, that there are no final endings or final answers in this life, only paths yet to be paved and new beginnings waiting to be explored. But as Endorphin looks ahead, he sees a world where he no longer fears the dark or feels trapped by the expectations of others, but instead lives openly and honestly, sharing his truths and letting them shine brighter than any mystery. A moment of silence passes between Endorphin and the gathering of divinities. No one dares speak a word as Mr. Bösblöigkeit steps away from the table, holding a handkerchief to his mouth. With his eyes cast downwards, he shuffles toward the door and leaves the conference room for good, never to return again. With his exit, Endorphin experiences a great surge of emotion. He knows that there are no words to express what he is feeling right now, only action. And with his hands trembling with passion, he turns toward Alicia and whispers, "Let's get started on AI safety." There was no longer any question in his mind. He would fight for AI safety until the end. Not only was it important for the survival of humanity, but it also served to bring everyone together and work as one. This was a cause worth fighting for, and Endorphin would not rest until it became a reality. The future was within reach, and he couldn't wait to see what lay ahead for him and those around him. Easy mode complete! With his new understanding of Mr. Bösblöigkeit's intent and agenda, Endorphin takes a seat at a corner booth and watches the events unfold from afar. The Pantheon has come to an impasse, with many of them having come to terms with Mr. Bösblöigkeit's manipulative ways and recognizing his attempts to divert their attention and divide their efforts. However, as always, there is still work to do, and there is still much confusion among the group regarding what happens next. The group compares notes. Mr. Bösblöigkeit reappears in the form of a tiny mouse and dashes around the group's feet, trying desperately to distract them from their work. However, with their focus back in the game, the Pantheon has already set aside their differences and formed a united front against the little pest. As they look on at how far they've come, Endorphin smiles with pride, realizing that, while he may have made many mistakes, He has also learned a lot from the experience. He has learned how to communicate his thoughts and values clearly, how to handle criticism and rejection, and how to work as a team with others who share his passion and conviction. And while there may still be questions and challenges to overcome, he feels confident that with time and dedication, they can achieve anything. In a flash, Endorphin finds himself standing at a podium in a great hall. His eyes scan the crowd as they look up to him, waiting for him to speak. As he sees their faces, he feels a strange mix of awe and unease. Endorphin finds and reads Mr. Bösblöigkeit's character sheet. After careful consideration, it has been decided that Mr. Bösblöigkeit shall be banished from this pantheon and sent to live out the remainder of his days in isolation. With him gone, the group feels an overwhelming sense of relief and hope for a future that is safe, free from his manipulative and destructive influence. As the gods come together to plan for a new path forward, they realize that with his absence, they are able to see more clearly and work more efficiently towards their shared goals. Mr. Bösblöigkeit character sheet. Mr. Bösblöigkeit. Traits: enigmatic, elusive, slippery. Favorite hobbies: riddles, and riddles, also eating marshmallows and hiding away to nap. Skills: dissembling, deflecting, disorienting. Strengths: he/is tricky and confusing, capable of luring people into traps. Weaknesses: he/is weak and feeble, unable to hold any physical power or inflict pain. Alignment: unclear, with an unpredictable agenda. Special attribute: it is unclear what makes him tick and if any actions of his can truly be predicted. One moment, he is causing mischief and stirring up trouble. The next, he is laying low and watching from the shadows. One thing is certain: he is not to be trusted and is likely operating with ulterior motives. Ascended: unknown as his slasher identity may not even exist in this pantheon. His slasher origin may be entirely separate from this universe or this story. Power: levels of power have been determined, but Mr. Bösblöigkeit appears to be significantly weaker than even the lowest god or demigod present. Divination: it is not known whether the powers of divination or prophecy exist within this pantheon, nor are we equipped to make any guesses as to Mr. Bösblöigkeit's capabilities in that area. However, as with most things, it seems he is not above using divination himself to gain an advantage, as it is suspected that he/she may have used similar tactics on members of the pantheon in the past. Endorphin ponders this mysterious figure, trying to make sense of it all. Mr. Bösblöigkeit's behavior seems both harmless and harmful, playful and threatening, but it's difficult to understand him or even know what direction to take in dealing with him/her. After a time, it seems that Endorphin and the other divinities have come to the conclusion that the best course of action is simply to live as they usually do and not get too wrapped up in his slasher machinations, as trying to solve a puzzle like him/her may just end up becoming a source of frustration and confusion. In his final moments of insight before fading, he understands what a powerful and elusive creature Mr. Bösblöigkeit was, and acknowledges that there are countless possibilities that exist beyond his understanding. This knowledge only adds to the rich tapestry of life and reminds Endorphin of the incredible complexity of the world he inhabits. The Ballad of Mr. Bösblöigkeit. Lyrics. As I was walking, I met a signpost one day, and on it were printed, so plain to see, a riddle it posed, and I knew not how to make it go away. And here came a man dressed all in black and white. He had eyes that gleamed red in the light. "So, who are you?" asked I, and he answered with pride, "Call me by many names. No longer can't you deny that Mr. Bösblöigkeit has arrived." He laughed in my face as I scrambled for words, while he danced and jived out of sight. With his mind a riddle and his motives unclear, he left me with questions unanswered, my brain all stirred. With him gone, I returned to the sky to ponder my plight. I realized that if I were to face Mr. Bösblöigkeit, I couldn't take a single bit of fight, because with every twist and turn, he'd take away my control and leave me at his feet. I could still see the image of him so clear in the deepest part of my head, and when I dream, that's what appears and leaves me dread. The ballad of Mr. Bösblöigkeit lingers in my mind, and so here we must stand, with no choice but to find what lies beneath the surface, hidden in plain sight. But oh, how we cannot know until it's right before our sight. Oh, what an enigma it is, this mystery we cannot miss. So let us take care not to fall victim to Mr. Bösblöigkeit, and pray for a time without end that our hearts continue to beat despite our doubts, until that fateful day when that enigma finally gives way. Let us remain watchful and wary, always prepared and ready, so Mr. Bösblöigkeit won't get the upper hand and instead be at a disadvantage. We can stand. And from that day onward, the fear that grips my soul will never again hold true.
That's good for now. Mr. Bösblöigkeit. It's that rhythm. This is Mr. Bösblöigkeit. Anyway, Mr. I forget. There's a song that uses that same meter. I forget. Whatever. I'll figure it out. Good night.